Imagine this. It's a quiet morning. You rise from bed, your feet touch the floor, but something feels different today. Your knees ache just a bit more than usual. Your ankles are stiff. And when you try to walk to the kitchen, just 20 steps, it feels like you've already run a mile. You pause. Hand on the counter. Heart beating faster than it should. And you think to yourself, I walk every day. I've been doing what they told me to do. So why does my heart still feel tired? Why do my legs feel like they're slipping away? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know this. It's not your fault. And you're not alone. Because what most doctors don't explain clearly is this. Walking while importante's not always enough. In fact, for millions of older adults, especially those over 65, walking alone may not protect your heart the way you think it does. It can even cause joint pain, fatigue, or setbacks that make you feel weaker instead of stronger. But here's the good news. There are 5 gentle, powerful alternatives to walking that can reignite your circulation, support your heart, and restore your confident soul from the comfort of your own home. You don't need fancy machines. You don't need to push yourself to exhaustion. You just need the right movements the right way. And today, I'm going to show them to you, one by one, backed by science, taught with care, because you deserve more than just stay active advice. You deserve a roadmap that respects your age, your body, and your will to live fully. So grab a cup of tea, take a deep breath, and stay with me. This might be the video that changes the way you move and the way you feel for the rest of your life. Part 1. Seated leg pumps. The forgotten power of your second heart. Imagine this. You're sitting in your favorite armchair. Maybe the morning sunlight is casting a soft glow on your living room. You're sipping tea, flipping through the newspaper, and your legs? They haven't moved in hours. For most people over 65, this scene feels all too familiar. But what if I told you that those quiet, still legs are hiding a powerhouse, a secret tool that could completely transform your heart health without you even standing up? Let's talk about your calf muscles, sometimes referred to by cardiologists as your second heart. Not just a poetic nickname, this title holds deep biological truth. Why the calves are more than just muscle. When your heart pumps blood downward, gravity is on its side. But when blood needs to return back up from your feet to your chest, gravity becomes the enemy. That's where your calf muscles come in. Each time they contract, they act like a pump, squeezing veins and pushing blood back up toward the heart. But here's the catch. The pump only works if you move them. And that's exactly where seated leg pumps come in. This deceptively simple movement mimics the mechanics of walking without the impact, without the balance risk, and without the physical strain. For older adults dealing with joint pain, dizziness, or fatigue, it may be the single most accessible tool to restart circulation, gently and powerfully. The crisis of inactivity. After 70. Let's step back for a moment. Do you know what happens when we sit still for too long, especially in older age? Blood begins to pool in the lower legs, ankles swell, feet feel cold. And in severe cases, clots can form, deep vein thrombosis, one of the most silent and deadly threats among the elderly. But beyond that, something more subtle and heartbreaking happens. You begin to lose faith in your body. You begin to feel like you're fading, like your strength is behind you, like movement is for other people now. That's not aging. That's disconnection. And one small movement can begin to change it all. A movement so simple, yet so transformative. Let me walk you through it. You sit tall in a sturdy chair, feet flat. You slowly lift your heels off the ground while your toes stay planted. Feel that tight squeeze in your calves? That's your second heart activating. Now lower your heels and lift your toes, instead engaging the front of your legs. back and forth, slowly, almost like breathing. You don't need a timer. You don't need shoes. You just need intention. That's it. A minute or two, maybe while you wait for your coffee to brew, or while you chat with a friend on the phone. It's not about intensity. It's about rhythm. It's not about sweat. It's about connection. From muscle to mind, the emotional shift. In my years working with patients over 70, I've learned this. The hardest part of healing isn't physical, it's emotional. When someone feels weak, left behind, or dependent, no medical prescription can fully restore what they've lost inside. But movement gentle, loving movementas, a way of bringing people back home to their bodies. When someone like Ronald, a 78-year-old who once told me, "I'm just a burden now," begins doing seated leg pumps daily, something shifts, not just in circulation, but in spirit. He starts looking forward to mornings. He starts moving more between rooms. He starts feeling alive again. Why this is about more than just your legs. Science tells us that consistent calf activation reduces strain on the heart, lowers the risk of clots, and even improves overall energy. But what science doesn't measure is what it feels like to reclaim a small corner of your health. What it feels like to say, "This is my chair. These are my legs. And I'm not done yet." And that, perhaps more than anything else, is the miracle of the seated leg pump. Try this today. A tiny challenge. Right now take a moment. Sit tall, lift your heels, feel the squeeze. Now lift your toes. Repeat 10 times. That's it. If you do nothing else today, you've already done something powerful. Part 2. Wall push. Ups. A gentle push towards strength and circulation. Let's be honest. When we hear the word push-up, most of us picture a young, sweaty athlete dropping to the ground in a burst of energy. But for older adults, that kind of image can feel unattainable, even intimidating. So here's a better image. You, standing in your living room, one hand on the wall, breathing steady, pushing forward gently, purposefully, not to break records, but to reclaim your strength. Welcome to the world of wall push-up zone, of the most underrated yet medically powerful exercises for seniors who want to take back control over their body, their heart, and their independence. Why wall push-ups matter especially. After 65, as we age, something subtle but dangerous happens. We lose upper body strength, and with it, we lose posture, lung capacity, confidence, and sometimes even the ability to lift ourselves up after a fall. But worse than the physical loss is the emotional weight that creeps in. A sense that our body is no longer responsive, that it's slipping away piece by piece. Wall push-ups push back against that feeling. This movement may look simple, just pressing your palms into a wall and pushing away, but underneath that simplicity lies deep physiological benefit. They strengthen the pectorals and deltoids, which stabilize the upper torso. They activate triceps and core muscles, which improve balance and reduce fall risk. They encourage deeper breathing and lung expansion, critical as respiratory muscles weaken with age. And perhaps most importantly, they stimulate blood flow in the chest, arms, and shoulders, areas often ignored by walking-based routines. You see, walking is great for legs, but your heart doesn't only live in your legs. It lives in your chest, and it depends on upper body movement to truly thrive. No sweat, no impact, no excuses. You don't need to hit the gym. You don't need equipment. You don't even need sneakers. Just find a sturdy wall. Stand about 2 feet away. Place your hands shoulder-width apart. Keep your feet flat and your knees soft. Gently lean forward, bringing your chest toward the wall. Then push back to standing. That's it. The motion is slow, mindful, and controlled. You can do 5 to 10 reps and feel the difference just in your muscles, but in your breath, your posture, and your sense of presence. The deeper healing. From physical strength to emotional power. Margaret was 82 when she first tried wall push-ups. She hadn't exercised since her husband passed 5 years earlier. It just felt pointless, she told me. Why would I build strength if I had nowhere to go and no one to see? But her doctor warned her. Margaret, the weaker your arms get, the faster you'll lose your ability to dress yourself, cook, or even push yourself out of bed. That scared her. So she began. 5 push-ups. Every morning. Right there, in her kitchen. After 2 weeks, she stood taller. After a month, she could carry a full grocery bag again. After 3 months, she called me and said something I'll never forget. I don't feel invisible anymore. That's what wall push-ups can do. Not just restore circulation or strengthen arms, but help someone feel seen, capable, and alive again. Movement meets mindfulness. There's something uniquely calming about wall push-ups. The repetition, the breath, the steady rhythm. For people dealing with anxiety, grief, or the fog of aging, these gentle movements ground you in your body. They bring you into the now. It's not just fitness. It's self-respect in motion. A challenge for you today. Before you leave this chapter, try just 5 wall push-ups. Stand tall. Place your palms on the wall. Breathe. Push. If your arms tremble, that's okay. If you feel awkward, that's okay. You're showing up. You're choosing strength. And that is far more powerful than any gym workout. Part 3. Seated leg lifts. Reclaiming strength without leaving your chair. Picture this. You're seated in your favorite chair, maybe by the window. Outside, life keeps moving. But inside your body, it feels stuck. Your legs feel heavy. Your ankles swollen. Your energy? Drained. Now, what if I told you that the most powerful way to reawaken your strength was to lift just one leg? Just one. That's the hidden power of seated leg lifts, a small movement that can spark a profound transformation, not just in your circulation and muscle tone, but in the way you view your body and your future. Why this movement matters after 65. As we grow older, our legs, the pillars of our independence, are the first to weaken. And it doesn't happen all at once. It starts small. A heavier step when you get out of bed. That ache after standing too long. The fear of climbing stairs. The hesitation to walk without support. But here's the thing. This isn't just a sign of aging. It's a sign of inactivity. And the antidote isn't fancy equipment or physical therapy appointments. It can begin right here, right now, with a few leg lifts in your chair. The science behind the simplicity. Seated leg lifts target the largest muscle groups in your body. The quadriceps, which help you stand. The hamstrings, which stabilize your movement. The hip flexors, which support balance and gait. And the calves, which push blood back up toward your heart. When these muscles contract, they act as pumps, moving blood out of the lower limbs, preventing it from pooling and reducing the risk of clots, edema, and cold feet. But the real magic? You're doing all of that without standing up. This is a cardiovascular gift. It reduces the load on your heart, supports circulation, and strengthens the legs in a controlled, low-risk environment. And yet, most people dismiss it because it looks too simple. That's the tragedy of aging. We underestimate the power of what still works. Movement as medicine for the mind. I want to tell you about George. George is 79. A widower. Quiet, proud, and until recently, almost completely sedentary. After losing his wife, he stopped moving. Not because he was physically unable, but because he felt lost. When we first spoke, he said something that stayed with me. I just sit and wait for the day to end. But I asked him to try something. Nothing big. Every time there's a commercial on your TV, I said, just lift one leg. That's it. He laughed. That's your prescription, Doc? 3 weeks later, George called me back. I've started walking to the mailbox again, he said. And not because I have to, but because I want to. That's what these leg lifts gave him. Not just stronger legs, but a sense of direction again. A reason to move. A reason to care. How to perform seated leg lifts. It's simple, but every detail matters. Sit tall in a sturdy chair. Keep your back straight and your core gently engaged. Place both feet flat on the floor. Slowly lift one leg, keeping it as straight as your body allows. Hold it for a few seconds. Then gently lower it back down. Switch legs. Repeat. Aim for 10 lifts per leg. If that feels too much, start with 5. If that feels easy, try holding the lift for 3-5 seconds. Breathe deeply with each repetition. Stay present. This is not a punishment. It's not a workout. It's a conversation with your body. I still trust you. You still matter. We're not done yet. A simple action with ripple effects. You may not notice the difference today, but tomorrow, your legs might feel just a little lighter. Next week, getting up from a chair might feel smoother. And next month, you might find yourself reaching for your walking cane less often. This is the silent power of consistency. You don't need to run. You don't need to sweat. You just need to move with purpose. And most importantly, every time you lift your leg, you lift your belief in yourself. Part 4. Hand grip squeezes. The smallest motion with the biggest impact on your heart. Let's begin with a surprising truth. One of the most powerful indicators of your overall health is the strength of your grip. Not your heart rate. Not your cholesterol. Your grip. Strange, isn't it? But modern medicine is clear hand strength predicts cardiovascular health, longevity, and even independence. Why? Because your grip reflects far more than your fingers. It mirrors your vascular health, nervous system integrity, and the resilience of your entire body. The science behind a simple squeeze. When you squeeze something, whether it's a tennis ball, a stress ball, or a soft resistance ring, you're not just flexing your hand. You're sending shockwaves through your circulatory system. This action activates small arteries and capillaries in your hands and forearms, which respond by relaxing and expanding. That's called a vascular dilation response, and it helps lower systolic blood pressure. And here's where it gets fascinating. Multiple studies now show that isometric hand grip exercises, where you hold the squeeze for a few seconds, can lower blood pressure as effectively as some first-line medications in older adults without the side effects. In fact, several heart surgeons have quietly begun recommending this habit to their older patients who are too frail for intense exercise, but still need cardiovascular stimulation. Why this matters more after 70. As we age, blood vessels lose flexibility. Arterial stiffness increases. Blood pressure rises. And unfortunately, many seniors simply can't engage in traditional aerobic activities anymore. Whether due to bad knees, poor balance, or fatigue, Walking, biking, or swimming is no longer an option. But the hand is always accessible. You don't need to stand. You don't need a treadmill. You just need to squeeze with intention. How to perform hand grip squeezes, the doctor's way. You'll need a small soft ball, like a tennis ball, foam stress ball, or grip trainer. A quiet moment, maybe during TV time or reading. Here's what to do. Sit comfortably, back straight, shoulders relaxed. Hold the ball in one hand. Squeeze gently but firmly, not to pain, just to tension. Hold for 5 seconds, then release. Rest for a few seconds, then repeat. Do 10-15 repetitions per hand. Switch sides. That's it. A few minutes a day. No sweat. No noise. No danger. Just quiet, effective vascular training. The emotional weight of strength. Ellen was 83 when she started grip training. She had trouble walking. Couldn't lift grocery bags. Felt like her body was slowly slipping through her fingers. I asked her to start with 3 squeezes every morning and every night. She thought it was silly. What could that possibly do? She asked. But 2 weeks later, she told me this. I feel like I'm holding on to myself again. That was the key. The exercise wasn't just about heart health. It was about reclaiming control physically, emotionally, spiritually. What grip strength tells us. There's a growing body of research showing that grip strength correlates with lower risk of heart disease, better brain health, fewer falls, improved recovery from surgery, greater independence in daily tasks. Doctors now use grip strength as a proxy for biological aging. In some clinics, if your grip is weak, you're assumed to be aging faster than your peer 7 if your lab results look fine. So don't ignore it. Train it. The psychological shift of a squeeze. Each squeeze says something. It says, I'm still here. I still have power. I still choose to move. In a world where aging often means letting go of speed, of freedom, of confidence, this is one thing you can still hold on to. Literally. Try this right now. If you have something near you, an orange, a rolled up sock, anything soft, grab it. Squeeze it slowly. Hold it. Feel your pulse respond. Now release. That's your body remembering it's alive. That's your blood pressure saying thank you. That's you making a stand for your strength. Part 5. Seated leg raises. One quiet motion that protects your heart, muscles, and independence. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you stood up from a chair and thought, that was easy? For many people over 70, that simple act rising from a seat has quietly become one of life's most difficult movements. Not because your body has failed you, but because it hasn't been asked to stay strong. But here's the good news. Even if you haven't walked a block in weeks, even if stairs feel like mountains, even if your legs feel weak and heavy, you can still take back strength, stability, and circulation without ever leaving your chair. Welcome to the power of seated leg raises. Why seated leg raises matter more than you think. Most people underestimate this exercise. It looks too easy, too slow, too boring. But that's the illusion of aging. We've been taught to believe that only big movements matter, that healing is loud and sweaty and hard. But in reality, the body listens to consistency, not intensity. Seated leg raises may be the most overlooked cardiovascular support tool for older adults with limited mobility. Here's what happens when you lift your leg off the floor, even just a few inches. You activate the quadriceps, the powerhouse muscles that help you stand, walk, and balance. You engage the hip flexors, which are crucial for stability and step control. You stimulate blood circulation in your lower limbs, reducing pooling and pressure. You promote venous return, the upward movement of blood that prevents clots and swelling. You relieve strain on the heart, allowing it to pump more efficiently with less resistance. In short, one leg raise can shift your whole internal system into motion gently, safely, and profoundly, understanding the vascular chain reaction. Let's go deeper. As we age, blood flow becomes sluggish, especially in the lower body. When we sit too long, gravity traps blood in our feet and calves. This increases the risk of edema, swelling, venous insufficiency, deep vein thrombosis, DVT, and even congestive heart stress. But when you lift your leg, even just a little, you compress and release major vessels in the thighs and hips, pushing blood upward toward your lungs and heart. It's like restarting a pump that's been idle for too long. And over time, this action rewires the cardiovascular loop, training it to move with more ease and efficiency. A personal story of rediscovery. Harold was 78, retired, widowed, and recovering from a minor stroke that left him feeling fragile and useless. He once told me, "I feel like my legs belong to someone else now. They don't listen to me anymore." I introduced him to seated leg raises, not with fanfare or intensity, but as a daily ritual. 5 minutes every morning, before his first cup of coffee. At first, he struggled to lift even 6 inches. His legs would tremble. He'd sigh in frustration. But after 2 weeks, he stood up from a dining chair without holding the edge. After a month, he walked to his mailbox without needing to rest. But most importantly, he smiled again. "I thought I was disappearing," he said. "But now I feel like I'm waking up." That's the quiet power of this movement. It's not about lifting a leg. It's about lifting your sense of identity back into your body. How to perform seated leg raises. Here's your guide. Sit in a firm chair with your back straight and feet flat on the floor. Keep your hands on the chair for balance. Slowly lift one leg, keeping it as straight as your mobility allows. Hold for 2-3 seconds, feeling the tension in your thigh and hip. Lower it down with control. Switch sides. Repeat 10-15 times per leg, or simply aim for a few minutes of continuous alternate lifts. Breathe deeply with each repetition. Don't rush. Let the movement be a form of gratitude for the legs that have carried you all your life. Why this movement is also a mental exercise. In medicine, we often treat the body like a machine. But in real life, especially in older adulthood, strength is never just physical. Seated leg raises remind you that you still have agency, that you can initiate movement, that you can spark circulation, that you still have power to push back against decline. And that emotional lift? It's just as important as any physiological effect. Because when you move with intention, even in a chair, you are reminding your mind and body, I am still connected. I am still capable. And that simple truth changes everything. One final invitation. Try it right now. Sit tall. Lift one leg slowly. Hold it. Now lower it. Switch. You just engaged the largest muscle group in your body. You just pumped blood toward your heart. You just made a choice for strength, for movement, for life. Let's take a breath together. Not just to mark the end of this video, but to acknowledge what it really meant. Because the truth is, this wasn't just a list of exercises. It was a reminder. A reminder that movement is still possible. That health doesn't require perfection. That aging doesn't mean giving up, it means choosing differently. So let's look back one more time at what we did, but at what it taught us. The seated leg pump taught us that circulation starts with presence. That even the smallest movement, done consistently, can carry blood and belief back to the heart. The wall push-ups reminded us that strength doesn't come from intensity. It comes from showing up, one gentle push at a time. The seated leg lifts proved that our legs still hold power, that by lifting them, we lift our lives zone inch, one effort, one day closer to freedom. The hand grip squeeze, that one whispered to us, you're still holding on to your breath, your blood, your dignity. And that's more than enough. And the seated leg raises reminded us that we don't need to stand tall to rise, that raising a leg is sometimes all it takes to raise your spirit. These 5 movements aren't just good for your heart. They are good for your soul, because they're not about how far you can go. They're about whether you believe you're worth moving for. And you are. You always have been. If there's one thing I hope you walk away with today, it's this. Vitality doesn't belong to the young. It belongs to the willing, to those who choose every day to keep going, to keep moving, to keep trusting their body, no matter how old it gets. And if you've made it this far, it means something inside you still believes that healing is possible. So I invite you, with all my heart, don't just watch this video. Live it. Pick one of these exercises. Start today, and come back tomorrow, and the next day, because your body is listening, and your future is waiting for you to say, yes, I'm still in the game. Ready to take the first step? Here's what you can do now. Leave a comment below. What's one exercise you're excited to try today? Hit the like button to let YouTube know this video helped you, and so we can help more people just like you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next video that could transform your health and confidence. And finally, share this video with someone you care about. You might just give them the gift of movement and of hope. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in yourself. And no matter your age, condition, or pace, you still have a heart worth fighting for. You still have a body worth caring for. And you still have time, beautiful, powerful time to move with meaning. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.